destiny was not written in stars, but etched into the frozen soil of the steppes. You were born with only two choices: ride or perish. The very air you breathed was a warning. The first sound you register is not a voice, but the low, creaking groan of the gur, your nomadic felt tent, as the wind attempts to tear it from the earth. You open your eyes to the sight of smoke curling upwards through the tonneau, the central smoke hole. Inside, the air is dense, warm, and comforting, a powerful contrast to the hostile cold outside. This single, portable room is your entire universe. It is the 13th century. The world you inhabit is one of endless sky and grass, a world where distance is measured not in miles, but in days of riding. You are now a true child of the steppe. Your mother's hands, rough from butchering and tanning hides, cradle you. You smell mutton fat and the rich, sour scent of kumis, fermented mare's milk. The first toy you ever grasp is a piece of dried boards or air-dried meat, a hard, vital piece of survival. Your clothes are thick, multi-layered furs and heavy wool, designed not for comfort, but for the brutal, unforgiving Mongolian winter. Your father, a man of few words, teaches you without speaking the first law of the steppe: never be separated from your horse. The slow rhythm of grazing life is shattered one evening. The ground tremors not from wind but from pounding hooves. A sound no nomad mistakes. Look to the horizon. Your father's sharp cry cuts through the quiet. Dust rises like a brown, angry wall in the distance. Not your clan. Not your people. Right. The danger is instant, proximity absolute. You hear the shouts of men, a foreign language, and the metallic clang of weapons being drawn. You are barely 3 years old, still strapped securely into a small basket tied to your mother's saddle. You are now a child of the steppe, born with the rhythm of the horse's gait in your blood. Your mother snatches you and your younger sister, throwing you onto two separate spare mounts. She is forcing you away from the battle, sacrificing everything for your escape. A group of 3 riders detaches from the main raiding party, focusing on your small escaping party. They are faster than you thought. They are closing in. Your mother has only seconds to make a terrible choice. Continue fleeing, which means their swift capture, or turn back and engage, buying you time. This is the moment. Most people would scream and flee blindly. But what does she do? She kicks her horse hard, forcing the two of you into the deepest, rockiest ravine. A move that risks breaking your legs but promises immediate concealment. You bounce and slide, terrified but safe from the immediate blade. You hear the sharp twang of a bowstring and the cry of a falling man. Your mother has bought you your life with a single, perfectly aimed shot. She pulls you deep into the rocks. You are trembling. But in that moment, as she hides you beneath her thick hide coat, she whispers, "You survived. You have the heart of a wolf. This decision will make you unforgettable." The terror is replaced by a profound, primal respect for survival. You spend 2 days hiding in the rocks, surviving on dried meat and the last drops of kumis. This is your first lesson in the harsh economy of the steppe. Resources are life, and the enemy takes them all. When you emerge, the fear has settled into a cold certainty. The old camp is gone. The gentle innocence of your birth is over. You are crying but silently. Your mother's last stand gave you life. You survived. In that moment of desolate solitude, you realize your first great strength is sheer tenacity. Your primary desire solidifies: vengeance and absolute speed. Huddled beneath a massive rock, shivering, you and your sister cling to a leather pouch containing the lucky bone dice your grandmother gave her. It is a tiny, fragile link to the life that was just stolen. The dust of the stampede settles, and the silence of the night swallows the cries of the wounded. The soft world of infancy is over. The endless, hungry plains await. You must now learn to live and kill as a child of the steppe. The sun rises on a new reality. You are now 4 years old, a survivor without a mother, riding across the vast plains. Your life, once soft and dependent, is now measured by the distance your horse can travel and the few rations you carry. You and your sister are taken in by your father's brother, a stern, silent man whose kindness is expressed only through sharp lessons and ensuring your belly holds enough kumis to survive. You are now part of his small, hardened ale. Your days are built around the herd. You learn the nomadic rhythm, constantly moving, constantly seeking better grazing. Your clothing changes. You wear the traditional deal, a heavy knee-length coat, which serves as both your daytime wear and your blanket at night. Your only education comes from the saddle. You learn to read the clouds, the way the wind speaks of weather, and the tracks of animals that mean life or death. Your first great admiration is born here, the horse. You see the sheer power, the tireless dedication of the tiny, tough mounts that carry your world. Your first fear is not a person but the Zud, the terrifying winter storm where the snow freezes the grass, leading to starvation for the herds. You are afraid of being slow, afraid of being weak, afraid that one day your uncle will look at you and decide you are a burden he cannot feed. The tension of survival tightens every time the sun shortens its path across the sky. A micro-story unfolds one chilling afternoon. Your uncle halts the column. He dismounts, pulls you from your saddle, and places a tiny, composite bow in your frozen hands. The test is immediate. You are too small to string it yourself, so he strings it for you. Ride, he commands, his voice like gravel. Ride and hit that ptarmigan marmot, running for its hole. Miss, and the Tingri Sky Father will know you are unworthy of the meat. You mount the small, shaggy pony. It is a terrifying, uncontrolled gallop. You try to draw the string, but your small fingers are numb. You fire the first arrow. It flies wildly, embedding itself uselessly in the dirt. You try again. The momentum of the horse nearly throws you off. Your uncle is watching, his face devoid of emotion. He doesn't need the meat, but he needs to see your spirit. You feel the cold rage of failure rising. You want to drop the bow, scream, and bury your freezing hands in the horse's mane. This is your micro-decision point. Most children would give up, crying from the pain and fear of the frost. But what does the son of the steppe do? You pull the bowstring back one last time, your knuckles white, your eyes focused only on the fleeing shadow of the marmot. You let the arrow fly. It is less a choice and more a desperate, muscular spasm. A small, satisfying thud. The marmot drops. Your uncle rides up to you. He doesn't smile. He simply nods, and his eyes, usually cold and distant, hold a flicker of respect. He says one word, "Good." That single word, that acknowledgement of your grit, is warmer than any fire. This victory will make you unforgettable. You have earned your place. You are no longer just a refugee. You are now a hunter. You realize that your childish temper, your weakness, can be channeled into focused, violent action, a key to your strength. The sound of the wind carries the scent of fresh snow, and the moon begins to rise over the vast plains. You spend the long, freezing nights in the Gur, listening to the elders tell tales of mighty Khans and ancient heroes who rode to the ends of the earth. You dream not of toys, but of the speed of a legendary white stallion. You know that to survive the coming Zud, you must be faster, tougher, and more disciplined than every other child. The world has opened, vast and cruel, but you have found your role within its merciless rhythm. The years pass like the pounding hooves of 1,000 horses, measured only by the height of the sun in summer and the relentless freeze of the winter. You are now 15. Your frame is lean and hardened, your face permanently weathered by the biting winds and dust storms. You no longer ride in a basket. You are a master of the saddle, an extension of your mount. You are now a nuker, a loyal retainer, on the cusp of becoming a true warrior. Your education has shifted from basic survival to active military necessity. You carry 3 bows, dozens of arrows for different ranges, and your mind is a map of every stream, every ravine, and every hidden spring within 300 miles. Your uncle, observing the necessary discipline for survival, has become your law. He hands you a task that will define your youth, finding a new summer pasture. It is a deceptively simple command. The territory is disputed, bordering the lands of the hostile Merkit tribe. Most youths would take the easy, known path, risking poor grazing. But what do? You choose the dangerous route, skirting the Merkit border. You ride for 3 days into the uncharted high valleys, motivated by your intense desire for excellence and the knowledge that good grazing means the difference between your clan's prosperity and their starvation. This is your first independent decision that carries a mortal weight. A micro-story unfolds in the heart of the high valley. You find the pasture, lush, green, perfect. But as you dismount, you spot a lone Merkit scout younger than you, watering his horse at the stream. You see him, he sees you. The air freezes. His hand drifts toward the dagger at his waist. There is no time for dialogue, no room for peace. It is the core reality of the steppe economy. One less rival means more grass for your clan. This is your first true confrontation. You remember your mother's final, silent lesson. You draw your bow in a single, fluid motion, a skill learned through 10 years of relentless practice. Your hands, though steady, tremble with the youthful fear of taking a human life. This is your peak. You fire. The arrow finds its mark, clean and swift. The scout falls without a sound, the water quickly washing away the small stain of blood. You have killed. You retrieve the arrow and take the Merkit's horse and serviceable clothing. It is cold, brutal practicality. You feel no triumph, only a deep, cold satisfaction. This act, this hard-won silence, confirms your place among the hunters. It will make you unforgettable to your clan. You are now a provider, not just a child. You return to the ale with the Merkit's horse and the news of the rich pasture. Your uncle only looks at the horse, noting the foreign brand. He knows. He nods, and the wordless praise fills you with more pride than any feast. You spend the rest of the year learning the Mongol battle code, Yasa, the strict discipline under which the entire tribe operates. You learn the importance of the 2-mun, 10,000 formation, even though your own clan barely numbers 300. You learn to fight with a saber and a lasso, and most importantly, you learn to feign retreat, a weakness in the eyes of others but a lethal strength in Mongol warfare. Your childhood temper is now a focused, sharp edge. The rising smoke of the campfires gives way to the dust clouds of a warband. You are no longer a child concerned with only the ale. The world is expanding. Rumors are sweeping across the steppes, whispers of a rising figure, a powerful warrior who seeks to unite all the fragmented tribes under the banner of the eternal blue sky. They call him Temujin, and soon your life will collide with his destiny. The rumors you heard in your youth have coalesced into an unstoppable storm. The man called Temujin is no longer just a leader. He is the force that threatens to end the perpetual chaos that stole your mother and scattered your clan. Driven by your core desire for order and security, you leave your uncle's ale and ride toward the heart of the emerging power, seeking only a chance to prove your worth. You join Temujin's growing Ordu, horde, on the march. The sheer scale is breathtaking. You have known the world only in small, fractured clans, but here, thousands of horses move as one body. You are now a mere speck in a tide of iron and fury, an aspiring Noker sworn follower. Your first successes are small but significant. In skirmishes against rival clans who refuse to bend the knee, you prove your mastery of the Parthian shot, hitting a target precisely while galloping away. Your physical strength is celebrated, but your greatest contribution is your ability to scout and relay information with perfect accuracy. But the cost of unity is immediate. During a fierce, disorganized raid on the Taikiat, one of the last great opposing tribes, you witness the death of the man who rode beside you, a cheerful warrior who shared his last ration of dried cheese, Errol, just hours before. The shock of his absence, the abrupt finality of it, replaces your childish fear of being alone with the adult fear of wasting a life, of letting his sacrifice be for nothing. The pace accelerates. You are no longer fighting small skirmishes. You are part of a massive force besieging a fortified position. The fighting is fierce, desperate, and confusing. A gap opens in your battle line. The enemy sees it and a pocket of their best riders surges forward, aiming to break the Arban 10-man unit you ride with. Your direct commander, a veteran with a scarred face, falls, his command dying with him. You are suddenly thrust into leadership. Your orders from the central command are unclear, but you know the enemy is exposed. This is your micro-decision point. Most men would retreat to secure the main line, obeying the general, cautious command. But what do you do with the momentum of your new authority? You see the desperation in the enemy's eyes. You choose to exploit their advance. You shout a clear, concise command, a calculated, dangerous feigned retreat. You and the remaining Noker of your unit turn and flee for exactly 300 yards, drawing the enemy deep into the field, away from their main defenses. Then you wheel your horse and unleash a devastating, concentrated volley of arrows at point-blank range. The effect is total. The enemy pocket is annihilated, turning a near loss into a decisive victory. Later that day you are summoned to the yurt of a senior general. He does not ask for your name. He asks only how you calculated the turning distance. Your explanation is simple. It was the longest distance my horses could safely gallop while still maintaining the speed to turn and draw a heavy bow. His single nod is the highest praise you have ever received. Your decisive action preserved a critical sector, and this courage and calculation will make you unforgettable to the high command. Your position is formalized. You are officially promoted to the rank of Arban leader, responsible for 9 other lives and the success of your unit. The weight of this new responsibility is crushing. You are no longer just a rider, you are a shield for others. Your youth is over, replaced by the grim knowledge that your survival is tied directly to the success of the unified Ordu. You have found your purpose, the protection of the burgeoning Great Khan's new world order. A new sun is rising, and the dust of a unified world is already beginning to settle across the plains. The years of skirmishes are over. You are no longer fighting neighboring clans, you are fighting empires. Temujin, now proclaimed Genghis Khan, has unified the steppe, and his Ordu, the great Mongol war machine, is unstoppable. You have risen, surviving the attrition of countless victories, and now command an Arban, 10 men, within a Mingan 1,000, that operates as the tip of the spear in the Grand Tumun. The sky itself seems to tremble with the ambition of the Khan. Your current enemy is vast, fortified, and utterly contemptuous of the nomad tribes, the powerful, ancient walls of the Khwarezmian Empire or the rigid, heavily armored armies of the Jurchen. You are part of the initial thrust, miles ahead of the main force. The air is thick with the scent of civilization, stone, sewage, and fear, all foreign to the steppe. The calm before the siege is unnerving. The enemy fortress is immense, its walls seeming to scrape the sky. You are detailed to the flank, holding a high plateau to prevent a surprise attack on the Khan's center. Your fear is no longer personal death, but the catastrophic failure of the Ordu, the return to the anarchy you saw in your childhood. Your deepest desire is the total submission of this arrogant, walled world. The siege begins. The first 2 days are brutal but successful. But on the third night, the crisis erupts. A contingent of allied local cavalry, supposedly guarding a mountain pass, suddenly breaks formation and strikes the flank of your Mingan. Betrayal. The line ruptures. Shouts of panic, a sound you have not heard since you were a boy, spread through the ranks. Commanders are falling, the disciplined Mongol Yassa is threatening to crumble into chaos. The enemy from the fortress sees the opportunity and launches a massive sortie directly toward the exposed flank. Your Arban is suddenly isolated, trapped between the retreating Mongol flank and the fresh wave of enemy heavy cavalry pouring from the fortress gate. The noise is deafening. Metal on metal, the screaming of horses, the guttural roar of men. You taste the dust, the fear, and the warm, coppery scent of blood in the air. A massive, armored Khwarezmian rider, a giant in shining steel, slashes down, nearly splitting your saddle in two. Your horse rears, screaming. You are dismounted, fighting on foot, a critical error on the steppe. You lose 2 men in the space of 3 breaths. Your Arban is reduced to 4 men, pinned behind a low earthen ridge. You look up and see the enemy flag closing in, their victory only minutes away. If you break, the entire Mongol flank collapses, and the Khan's position is exposed. This is your micro-decision point. Most men would abandon their post, flee into the night, and regroup later. But what does the Noker who swore the blood oath do in the face of annihilation? You remember the cold, single-minded focus of your youth. You find the strength, a primal surge of will, to remount your wounded horse. You shout to your remaining men, not a command to retreat but a promise. Hold the line. We break the wave here. You charge directly into the armored mass. A desperate, suicidal act of pure will, aimed not at killing the mass, but at disrupting its formation. It is a sacrifice. But your charge, so unexpected and so furious, slows the enemy's advance just long enough for a small Mongol reserve to sweep in and stabilize the line. The enemy's momentum is broken. The wave recedes, leaving the ground slick with blood. You are bleeding from 3 places, your armor is ruined, and your unit is decimated. But you are standing. You held the line. You saved the flank, and in doing so, saved the Khan's Ordu from disaster. Your scarred general finds you, throws you a skin of kumis, a rare honor on the battlefield, and looks at you not as a soldier but as a brother. You stood when the Empire ran, he rasps. This day will make you unforgettable to all of us. You bury your fallen Noker at dawn, your hands digging the cold earth. The greatest loss is the innocence of unbreakable strength. You realize that even the Khan's unity is built on the fragile foundation of individual loyalty, which can be betrayed at any time. The crisis is over. The victory is secured. But the price paid is etched permanently into your soul. You survived the unmaking of the world. The cries of the wounded fade, and the rising sun illuminates the true, terrible cost of conquest. The dust of the great crisis has settled, but the scars remain, both on your body and in your mind. The brutal lesson of betrayal and the loss of your comrades in the siege of the great city have fundamentally altered the landscape of your soul. You are no longer just a warrior driven by simple loyalty. You are a survivor driven by a colder, more comprehensive desire. The absolute security of the Ordu and the total elimination of future threats. You are given time to heal, but the mental wounds are slower to close. The chaotic, adrenaline-fueled courage that saved the flank in Part 5 has been replaced by the quiet, strategic ruthlessness of a true commander. Your previous weakness, the tendency to let your fierce temper guide your immediate action, has been polished away. Now, you observe, calculate, and then strike with chilling precision. Your new role reflects this internal shift. You are elevated from a field commander to an officer of logistics and intelligence, tasked with mapping the new frontiers and ensuring the supply lines remain unbroken. This is a battle fought not with a bow, but with wax seals and complex calculations of distance and forage. The challenge is immense. You are now a bridge between the wild steppe warriors and the need for organized imperial rule. You find yourself judging local disputes in recently conquered territories, enforcing the strict, unyielding yasa of the Khan. You deal with officials who try to skim grain and tribal leaders who hide their cattle. The simple purity of the charge is gone, replaced by the tedious, frustrating work of preventing rot from within. A micro-story unfolds in a conquered village, months after the main force has moved on. A local magistrate, a man kept in power to collect taxes, is brought before you, accused of diverting desperately needed grain supplies meant for the forward troops. He pleads for his life, citing his children, his long years of service, and his fear of the former rulers. He appeals to your honor as a warrior. You know his betrayal is small in scale, but immense in its potential consequence. A single broken supply chain can starve a 2-month 10 days ride away. You remember the eyes of your fallen Noker in the siege. You remember the betrayal that nearly fractured the Khan's army. You understand now that mercy is the highest form of weakness in this new order. This is your micro-decision point. Most men, having seen enough bloodshed, would show leniency for the sake of peace. But what does the transformed Noker do to secure the empire? You look at the magistrate and see not a man, but the seeds of future chaos. You order his immediate execution. Not with a clean saber stroke, but by the old humiliating method reserved for those who violate the yasa. Trampled by horses, his body left as a marker. This is brutal but necessary. The lesson is understood instantly by the surrounding population. Your heart, once capable of great warmth for your comrades, feels cold, almost detached. But the result is undeniable. Within a week, the local supplies double and the route is secure. You have traded your mercy for stability. Your commanding general receives the report and sends a single laconic message. Wisdom is colder than the winter. Your choice will make the Khan's road unforgettable. The chaos of the steppe can only be defeated by a greater, more calculated chaos. You have achieved wisdom, but it is a dark wisdom, earned in blood and isolation. You realize that your strength is no longer the bow in your hand, but the uncompromising severity of the law in your mind. You are the cold, efficient engine of the empire's expansion. The cold light of the moon reflects not in a river, but in the cold steel of your new resolve. The relentless campaigns have ended. The great Khan has passed, and his sons now rule an empire that stretches further than you could have ever imagined in your youth. You are an aging general, honored and scarred, no longer riding at the tip of the spear, but sitting in judgment over the settled lands you helped conquer. The world is quiet. The very trade routes, the ancient Silk Road, once haunted by bandits, now flow freely under the Pax Mongolica. Your hands, once raw from bowstrings and sabers, now hold seals and decrees. The chaos you feared as a child is gone, replaced by the order you brutally enforced as a commander. You see the tangible results of your life's work. Silver flows, languages mix, and people move with a security unknown for centuries. The tension, however, is now internal. Your children and grandchildren know only this peace. They wear soft silks instead of hard leather deals. They trade books instead of arrows. Their horses are fat, not lean war mounts. You look at them and feel a profound fear. The fear that this peace has made them soft, that the next Zud or the next betrayal will find them unprepared. They possess neither your tenacity nor your cold, survival-driven discipline. A micro-story unfolds one evening within the large gur of your retirement. Your grandson, an arrogant youth, is caught selling a valuable family horse to an outsider for personal gain, a clear violation of the old ways of communal property and honor. The crime is minor by imperial standards, but major by the yasa you swore to uphold. The young man believes his grandfather's fame protects him. The confrontation is devastating. You look at him and see the seeds of the decay that could unravel the entire empire. Your past self, the ruthless commander, demands his execution. Your human side, the father, begs for leniency. This is your micro-decision point. Most grandfathers would forgive and send the boy away with a warning. But what does the keeper of the Khan's law do to secure the family's honor and future? You choose the law. You do not kill him, but you strip him of his horse, his wealth, and his clothes, banishing him to the northern plains to live with the lowest herders for 3 years. The punishment is harsh, demanding survival through sheer hardship. You turn your back on his pleas. The choice costs you a piece of your heart. Your children watch in shock, but the silence of the gur is the truest reward. You have secured the honor of your line by enforcing the painful lesson of the steppe. Discipline is more valuable than life itself. Your cruel wisdom will make your family name unforgettable among the administrative ranks. It shows that the legacy of the Khan is not only in conquest but in eternal, hard-won order. You look out over the vast, conquered lands. Your weakness, your early blind focus on pure combat, was transformed into the strength of calculated rule. You realize your life was not just about killing, but about forging a single, terrifying fist from countless fractured fingers. The final rays of the setting sun cast long, silent shadows over the walls you once besieged, now silent and secure. Your battles are over. All that remains is the long shadow of your decisions. You are impossibly old. Your body, once a tireless engine of war and command, is now frail, wrapped in the softest fur, confined to the center of your GR. Your eyes, however, are still the keen, piercing eyes of the hunter, squinting not against the dust, but against the light of your final years. The final, slow rhythm of your life is acceptance. You look out over the lands you helped tame. The small, desperate Gur where you were born is now part of an empire so vast that it dwarfs the dreams of any former Khan. You have resolved the greatest fear of your youth. The world did not fall back into chaos. Your lifelong desire for order has been fulfilled. A chill grips your chest, not of the external cold but of the body giving way. You remember the defining moment of your life, the day you turned your horse and charged into the massive, overwhelming wave of enemy armor. You remember the cold, terrifying courage of your mother's sacrifice. That single, reckless, necessary moment of pure defiance was the spark that forged your entire life. You feel the cold air rush into your lungs and you know the moment has come. You ask your sons to lift you onto your favorite horse, a strong white gelding, and ride you outside the camp, far onto the silent, open steppe. You need to meet the end on your own terms under the open sky. Like Yakinlasturma danger proximity, you taste the cold air, sharp and clean, one last time. You hear the final rhythmic thud of your horse's hooves, the sound of home, the sound of life, the sound of the end. You turn your eyes to the heavens, the vast, unending, eternal blue sky, Tingri. Your last thought is not of titles or wealth, but of the freedom of the ride. Your strength finally gives way. You slip from the saddle and fall softly onto the frozen earth. Your death is observed only by your closest sons. Following the ancient ways, you are buried in an unmarked, secret grave in the steppe, so that your spirit may find rest and not be disturbed. Your legacy is immediate and enduring. The yasa you enforced with such cold dedication remains the core law of the vast empire, ensuring the peace you bled for continues. You are remembered not for your gentle nature, but for the unwavering, terrifying strength of your loyalty. The life of the small, terrified boy who rode away from the bloodied ale is complete. He became the foundation upon which an empire was built. The great order rides on. The empire stands. The world is changed forever by the lives of those who embraced the wind and the arrow. So, who would you truly have been in this life?